play, be careful. Gets a little shaky in the beginning. Okay. And also remember the floor is shaky. Look, Jackie, I remember to put my mic on, so I hope everyone can hear me. Oh, and there's an ad. Oh, no, it's not. I do not have ads on during the live stream anymore because YouTube was putting 3 ads on at a time and you couldn't skip past any of them. It was so frustrating. So I right now till we get to like I don't know 50 to 100, 100 to 200, whatever I feel like people in the live stream, then I'll turn the ads back on during the live stream, but I just turn them on as soon as the video's over so anyone catching the replay because it's frustrating. I feel like, well, I do stop talking because I feel like it's important. When I'm watching someone else's, even if I catch it like halfway through and I start back at the beginning, it's so frustrating because you miss so much. You're waiting 1 to 3 minutes sometimes to be able to get back into the live stream. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to swear, so I have to behave myself, and I want to swear. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Barb. Hi, Tony. Hi, Sue. Hi, Candy. Hi, Jody. Jody made it. Woohoo. Hope everyone's having a nice weekend. Hope everyone is. Oh, gosh, I forgot again, Jackie. Do you know what the temperature is? I meant to look because I still have the weather apps on my phone from Florida, and they have extreme heat warnings when we don't have them here. With the heat index, it's 117 back home in Florida today. And I think we're like 98 to 102. We're somewhere there and there. It's been like 80 at 5, 6 in the morning, so it's been kind of nice. Oh, audio's good. Thank you, Jackie. I got to remember, though, that I have the good microphone on and I don't have to yell, but I've gotten in such a habit of talking loudly. Plus, if I get a little crafty excited, I get a little loud. Barb, I love when you come and hang out with me for your crafty quiet time, and anyone else that does. I'm going to tattle a little bit on my family because I just thought it was so sweet that my daughter shared a little story. My daughter's girlfriend puts my videos on during her lunch break when she's at home working. Mondays with Mission Barbecue, they do the entire market countrywide gets on a phone calls, and then they do paperwork and stuff for the general managers. So when she's on her lunch break and doing whatever, she likes to put my videos on because she says I'm so relaxing. I feel bad because my voice has been so raspy for the whole Arizona time that I don't know how my voice can be relaxing to anyone, but I thought that was the sweetest thing for them to share. Sue, and we have a few Sue, so this is for Sue Lisk and for anyone, actually. Sometimes we get caught up on Halloween scraps, Christmas scraps, or just whatever. And we really can use scraps in any project for any season. So if you make coasters with 2.5 inch squares, you can make them with Halloween ones. You can mix all your fabrics together. So if you're making a quilt with 2.5 inch strips, no one says that you can't use the calculator strips with the scrappy fabric on it in place of the 2.5 inch strip. Now, maybe you might want to make a blue strip or a yellow strip and not go wackadoodle, but it's great for that. Coin quilts are another great way to use up fabrics, and they can be coin quilts, table runners, placemats, tote bags, everything. Sometimes you just need to make your scraps a little smaller for smaller projects and larger for quilts, etc. Oh, 104, high of 107. Earlier in the week, I know it was kind of nice out. I know we had a day of 98 because that's when I went out and mowed. Yeah, it's hot with the humidity. I know people aren't going anywhere in Southwest Florida unless they have to. It's not a day to go sit out at the beach. Now, people will, because some people are just wackadoodle. But most people are like, we'll stay inside. Instead of barbecuing and eating outside, we'll barbecue and eat inside. Or maybe we'll have food inside. Maybe we won't run the oven and we'll get pizza delivered. The kids stay inside and get permission to play video games. My shirt is just not sitting right. I don't know if you can hear the fabric moving, but it's driving me crazy. maybe the kids, it's a day where we would give them permission to stay in the house, be lazy bums in the room, and play video games just to keep them out of the heat. It's hot. So I wanted to show you guys, it's not quite 1 o'clock, so we'll just ramble for a little bit. I did set up my project. I did it yesterday. I did such a good job. Last night, I went through my Halloween bucket. Whoops. So you guys have seen my buckets. I picked these up at walmart.com and target.com. Now, this was overflowing with the Halloween scraps. It was like coming up over the little dippy part down here. I didn't throw away hardly anything. If you've been here for a while, you know I like kind of straight edges when my scraps. I'm going through my old scraps to make them fit my current mood, but a lot of these scraps might have a curve. Think of a baby bib when you have that curve cut out and you still have like weird scraps left over. I found some circles in here and I found some weird um, like a cat's head. When I make those round cats coasters, it's round with the ears that come down. Anyway, my brain is kind of fried today. So I found things like that, and I would square it off to a sort of straight line, sort of rectangle, sort of square. So I think, hold on, camera might bounce. I'm like Godzilla. So when I was trimming everything, this is all that I threw away. Just to say that I didn't throw away fabrics, I just trimmed them up. And I think that's not bad at all. And most of them are pretty skinny. And that's all I have left. And then I'll show you the little bucket here that we're going to work from today. So if anyone's thinking, wow, I don't have room for all of my scraps, my scrap containers are full. Boom, boom, Godzilla. Oh, I am in a weird mood today. Okay, so if you think like, wow, I don't have any room for any more scraps, I need to make a scrap project and I don't want to. If you iron your scraps and lay them nice and neat, the full container, and now, of course, this would take up some of that space, but not as much as you would think. I did separate them from long jelly roll type strips. Some of them are jelly rolls. Some of them might be 3 inches. Some of them might be 1 3/4. And then the shorter ones. And then I have some squares-ish. They're not all square. Like this one isn't square. And then over here, I have some teeny tiny ones that I want to use for fabric postcards. And I did have this little bag here of itty bitties. So now if you put all of it together, will it make the same size as what I started with? I honestly don't think so. There are some large pieces in here that I could take out, but since there's room, I really don't want to put like pieces like this back into the stash. It's a good sized chunk, fat quarter-ish like. It's a good sized piece, right? But I'd rather put it into this container since I have the room than try to put this on the shelf. I don't mind having the fat quarters on the shelf of my regular fabrics, but it's nice to have Halloween ones all in one spot. Now, I do have my yardage and I have some more on the shelves that I have to go through. And let me show you. I like to show off when you guys send me stuff. Someone had made a Halloween someone had made a fabric basket for their Halloween scraps, but they sent it to me because they were no longer using it. So it's got the kitty cat skeletons. It doesn't glow in the dark, but it has that kind of feel for it. And I do have some chunks of fabric in here. And I have to go through because there are some smaller pieces to come out. But for the most part, these are all nice large chunks. So I've been taking smaller bits, like, so that green one could go in here. But I don't want to like put all of these into that container. But I do want to go through and pull out stuff like this. So I spent, I think, 2 hours last night pressing everything and going through and trimming it up so that it would be very useful today, which allowed me to take time this morning to do my morning chores and cut out some more witches' hats in preparation for sewing tomorrow. All right, let me come check on the comments. Hello, Candy from Northern Illinois. Oh, look, you can see my thinking hand. It's like a snow day without the fun outside time. Well, yeah, in Florida we have hot days. Like there's days in cuz school, what's today, the 15th? School in most parts of Florida has already started. So they would probably have days where you don't go outside for gym. You stay inside. Like when up north it gets too cold, which I heard never happens. People just go outside and play still. Like in Alaska, they don't have cold weather days. So we have hot weather days where you don't go outside and play. You stay inside and they do things in the classroom or the gym or something like that. Oh, yeah, frozen burgers in the freezer, like the sleeves or however you buy them in a box and stuff, those are really great for days you don't wanna cook or days where you're, like, rushing around or you go grocery shopping. I never wanna cook when I get home from grocery shopping. I'm always too worn out. Hi, Deborah. Hello to all of our lurkers. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And hello to everyone that's going to hang out on the replay. Now, if you are new to this channel and you just happen to get caught on the name of the video, I actually have some, I didn't think to put them in the description box. But if you just search Quilt As You Go, the QAYG on my channel, you'll find a lot of tutorials. Today is mostly going to be a hangout and chitty chat. That's why I put the word live stream. I need to go through and make sure all of my live streams have a live stream in the title so that people don't think this is an actual tutorial. Now, you can get a lot of information and we share a lot of tips and tricks while working on it. And actually, we share just general tips and tricks and chitter chatter. So if you want to work on a project and just put me in the background, I do ramble a lot, so we'll see what's happening. I don't know how rambly I'll get today, but hello. It always happens. Hi, Rita, for the replay crew, right? I'm going to make Quilt As You Go pot holders. I almost said hot pads. I don't care for hot pads that much because I don't like to put that crinkly stuff in, and I like to be able to use everything as a pot holder. If I need a hot pad, I just put 2 pot holders down. It works the same. I am using Warm Company 100% cotton, no scrim batting, and this is the natural. There's warm and natural and warm and white and warm and plush. And I can't remember if they have a wool version, but anyway, I'm using this one because it's a little bit thicker than their white one is. And I think you could see with the light that I put scraps together and zigzagged it. I had a whole bunch cut out for zipper pouches, or oh yeah, you can see it good in the video. I had a whole bunch cut out of this rectangle for mug rugs or zipper pouches or something, and I think I just got overly mathematically challenged, and I probably thought, oh, I'm going to make 20, so I need to cut out 40. And then I came back the next day and said, oh, I need 40, so that's 2 for each. Let me cut out 80 or something crazy like that. So I had these, and I just pieced 2 of them together, and I think I'm doing, oh, yeah, it's about 9.5 inches. Right, one of them, this one I'm holding up, it looks 9 7/8 by 9 3/4. But I want it to be about 8.5 inches. And for me with pot holders, I find that I like 2, one on the front, one on the back with just a cotton batting. I don't care for that Insulbright. It's too stiff to use as a pot holder, and I don't like the crinkly sound. It just irritates me. So that's where I'm at. Deborah, I was making notes for myself to remind myself to work on some scrap fabric panels or slabs, or, they have a lot of different names for them. Well, large pouch is fun too. And I have a couple of things in plan. Jennifer, are you a lurker? Welcome, welcome to the first live. I really appreciate that. So I have 4. Now, in the scraps, I did end up with some triangle pieces, and I do save them because they work for when this is going to be too dramatic, but when I do fabric postcards, sometimes I'll just lay them over each other. But I took a bunch of them, and I just so happened to have 8 of them that I stitched together and pressed open to start with the center of the pot holder. I did do a stitch straight down the center because I know myself that I'll either lose this or it'll get stuck to the back. So I have 4 of them ready to go. Now, you might be wondering, why are we making pot holders? Robin makes a lot of pot holders. Why is she making more? Well, I'm going to blame you guys for this 100%. At one point, you asked to have a video about how to recover old worn out pot holders. Well, I only had 2 pot holders that I absolutely loved, and I showed you how to recover them, and now I absolutely dislove them. I do not like them anymore. They're much smaller and they're like thicker now. Just adding those 2 extra layers of fabric, one on the front and one on the back, it just made it uncomfortable in my hand. And now it's going to be a good hot pad for a small pan. So I thought I'd go ahead and make some new ones for myself. And I knew I had a decent amount of Halloween scraps. And since I am working on witch hats, I thought, why not, right? So that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to do the quilt as you go kind where I do a whole bunch of stitching for like the zipper pouches. I'm just going to do a stitch and flip type thing. And since they're for me, I'm really not that picky. It's going to get dirty and burnt within the first, I don't want to say week because we are in the summer and I probably won't use it that often yet. And I don't need to cook this week or next week and maybe not the week after. So yeah, they won't get used for a while. So they'll stay clean much longer than normal because I just won't be using them. So 1/4 of an inch, and I think for me on my Juki, I'm going to go, I think I can go at a 2.4 easily and not have to worry about it. There's cat fur on this and there's robin's hair on it. And yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. So when I sewed the triangles together, I just put a little 4.5-inch ruler on it, and I will say squared it up, but it's not a square. It's whatever it happened to be when I trimmed off the wonky sides. I have my foot pedal on a carpet and it won't move. It's stuck. So that's just what we're going to do. I think I'm just going to start at the top of the pile and work my way down. Now, there are some fun favorite fabrics in here that if I come across them and I want to use them in a zipper pouch, I will set them aside. I'm not going to use the squares because I know I have projects that I want to use the squares. I want to do witches hats, a scrappy version. I want to have like one main fabric, an orange or a purple, and then maybe do like all scrappy purples and all scrappy oranges, or just the gray spider web that I used for the ghost coaster mini mug rug type things, and then just have all of the other patchwork squares be scrappy. So it kind of gives it a little bit of a, it doesn't look like my scrap bucket just spilled out all over the hat, but it has a little bit of a cohesive look to it. So I have a little pair of scissors here to trim because they're going to be a little too long. Now, this purple one, I really like it, and I'd like it to be a whole piece. I'm going to set that aside and just cut. When it gets bigger, I'll use that. And if I don't, well, then I don't. It'll still be fine. So I'm going to start with this. I'm just doing a 1/4-ish seam allowance because on something like this, as long as the seam allowance and things aren't going to fall apart, it's fine. And I'm doing a method where I'm just going to take the right sides together, sew all the way around, turn it right side out, and top stitch. Super, super simple. Hi, Janice. Janice, you guys have been getting a lot of rain in Iowa. Are you flooded too? No iron. We're not going to leave the sewing machine. This is one of those projects that you can just sit here and it's sticking beyond it. Now for a pot holder, oh my goodness, if it's too thick because I didn't trim off that fabric, I will survive. This is a squarish. It can go in the squarish section. I'm not going to worry about colors or anything like that. I'm going to line my next strip up with this short one. This is a great way for those of you that are really kind of strict about how you do things, that you like to do things a certain way. Now, when we get to the smaller pieces, I put those over on this side. And I can do something with them, maybe like crumb block type things, or I can turn them into something for like my fabric postcards and stuff like that. Sometimes it's fun to play with those and make something as a tuck-in when someone orders something from my shop that's scrappy, so I kind of know either they enjoy it or they're giving it as a gift, then I can go ahead and just trying to decide if I can do this without cutting the thread. Then I'll toss something like that and maybe I'll make a super scrappy coaster or something like that, you know? Yeah, I'm the only one using the pot holders, and I have a medium-sized hand, and I find that if the pot holder's too much, with the nerve damage in my shoulders and neck, if it's too much, then I can't, I can't control it. And if it's too light or too stiff, my hands don't work very well for it. So it has to be a certain thing. I'm starting larger to make sure that if I want it to be 8.5 inches when it's finished, starting at 9.5 inches is good. So then I can trim it up. And if I lose a little, I won't end up with like a 7-inch pouch. So that's what my thinking is there. Now I have a bunch of black fabrics here and I'm not going to worry. And this one's a little see-through. And guess what? I don't care. If it gets a hole in it, I'll come out here and like 6 months from now, the fabric wore out when I washed it or something. I'll go into a small scrap bin of either Halloween or whatever, and I'll just stick a square on it and stitch all the way around through all the layers. It's mine. I honestly could care less, right? I just want it to work. Oh, thank goodness, Janice. There are a few of you up in Iowa, and I've heard that some areas, I mean, okay, as a Florida girl, I don't understand this, but it's different in Florida than it is in other areas. When it's been like 3, 4 days of raining and you've had a total of 3.5 inches and the whole area is flooded and the basements have standing water and all that. And I'm like, but in Florida, we could get 5 to 8 inches in one afternoon in just a couple hours, right? And Florida will look flooded and then it's gone in just a couple hours. It's so different in all the areas and how it works. Like Florida's so low lying, I'm really surprised that it's like that. See this fabric right here? I kind of like this. It feels very olden Halloween. So I'll save this one for a zipper pouch. So I'm going to put that over there just so we don't use it. Hi, Denise. I am using Warm Company, and this is their warm and natural 100% cotton, no scrim. So this is safe for bowl cozies and for hot pads and anything that oh, my nose is itching from the fibers. Anything you're going to go ahead and put something hot on, it's fine with and go in the microwave and all of that. I think I got, 20 yards by 90 something inches. I got a big box of it, a big bolt of it from Walmart, but it's the white one. The white one is a little bit thinner. Let me show you. This one feels a little bit thicker, fluffier versus the white that feels a little bit more compact. Now, I really think I'm right about this, and it could just be me. Like maybe you need to see it in person. Okay, here comes Godzilla. Thump, 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 thump. Okay, so this is, it looks so much the same, right? but the one on top, the natural, is just a smidge like squishier, like marshmallowy compared to the white on the bottom. So I got a big bolt of this and I love it for a variety of things. But if I'm using lighter fabric, and I find that putting the white batting behind fabric just makes the colors feel and look more saturated. Oh, I need a drink while I'm up, compared to if I just put the natural color. This one really, I think it doesn't matter. And I think sometimes I'm crazy, but when I make two products next to each other, one with the natural beige colored and one with the bright white, it just looks different to me. They're both fine. Nothing wrong with either of them, but it just appears a little bit brighter to me. Tornadoes, yeah, Deborah. I didn't know that Arizona has a tornado alley. They've been getting a lot of tornadoes here and down in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Southwest Florida. They've been getting a lot of water spouts in the river and stuff. It's been crazy summer. Oh yeah, Jackie, for the grills, 100%. My daughter said, "Oh, we wouldn't mind having some." Now, for her girlfriend is a little bit pickier. My daughter doesn't like wild and crazy Scrappy, but if I just made her like a Harry Potter one, she would be happy. And for me, I don't care if I, put the same one there. I'm just going to make a little pile here because some of them aren't long enough. Excuse me, soda. Um, I'm just kind of doing like a log cabin round and round and round. Hello, Jill. Over 220. Wow. I have a couple of the Florida weathermen that I enjoyed that were on my Instagram from when I lived down there. And they were like, for the whole state of Florida, it had, I don't think I'm exaggerating, I think I got it right, 80,000 plus lightning strikes. It was a couple weeks ago. It was just one big storm that came through, and the whole state was just yellow because they put yellow lightning bolts when there's one in the area. And it was just coated in yellow except for the panhandle. It was crazy. Uh-oh. Jody's got all the tomatoes coming, right? That's funny. That's one of the things like with kids. They hear tornadoes and they're like, I don't like tomatoes. You need a little reading rainbow, huh? I think projects like this, when you're working with your scraps, if you can just relax and do it, it's good for a relaxing day, of course, and it's good when you're feeling a little bit outside of like your crafting mojo is kind of gone. Okay, now the problem I'm going to run into with this is I'm going to need longer and longer ones. So I can either go into my longer strips or I can piece two of my shorter strips together. That is It's So Emma, so it's from the Fat Quarter Shop, and it used to be, I think it started out as like a beauty thing where you put hairbrushes in, but now it's a quilting one, and you can put your scissors and small rulers and different things in it like that. I think it's called maybe a quilter's caddy. I don't know if it's a caddy or not, but if you look for the Fat Quarter Shop in their Notions area, It's So Emma, and I'm pretty sure that's a Fat Quarter Shop thing. Now, everyone has them. Amazon has them. But if you go to Fat Quarter Shop, now remember I have a link down below in the description box. I think it's in this video. If not, it's in a regular video. That'll take you there as an affiliate thing. I would really appreciate it if you're going to buy something from there that you use my link. I never see what you buy. I know nothing about it. At the end of the month, I just know if I've earned a few dollars from when you guys shop there. But even if you don't shop there, you can look and it'll tell you what it is, and then you can go find it probably cheaper on Amazon. Gwen's always late. Grandma always said 50 lashes with a wet noodle. Dinosaur backpack? Jody, look at you. You're creating all kinds of fun stuff now. Now, one of the things I can do too is I can stop on this one. And I think that's what I'm going to choose to do. And then I'm going to move on and work on the other ones because I'm making two and I'm making front and back Scrappy. So if I take this one and set it down, I can come back to here and use those small strips again. So that's a great way to use up the little bits. I don't want to use up a longer, come here. I don't want to use up a longer one if there's some smaller ones that I could use first, you know. I look at this fabric. I have a small chunk of it, but that would be a really fun fabric. I like that. And this one, this is one of the Walmart ones that I got for like $1. And Robbie was alive. So it's after the year, he was born in 99. So I'm going to say it's like after 2002, but before, you know, it got too much longer when Walmart had the fabric section and then it went away and then it came back. And I don't know what they're doing now, but this was before it went away. And I think, yeah, because I know based on what house I was living in when I was sewing with this fabric, I'm pretty sure it was after 2002 when I purchased it. I have some glow-in-the-dark stuff in here. I think most of these are a little bit longer, though. So I'll just cut it off. It's no big deal. I just want to see what I have first. Some of them have a lightweight fusible on it. I'm still going to use it. It'll be okay as a pot holder. I'll just cut this off and start a garbage pile. Well, let's see. If I leave my needle down and I do, oh no, because I need to go all the way up there. My automatic cutter is only cutting one of the threads. And when I had it in the shop, they either didn't find anything wrong or they just didn't fix it. I don't know. They never told me. So I asked them to, but you know how that story went. Oh yeah, you could easily hand stitch and decorate it. Do that little bit of slow stitching on it. Ye old crazy quilt style. Yeah, you did really good, Jody. You got a lot done. And that's funny. That was a little bit too short. I bought a panel of this. It's a vest that you can like quilt and stuff. But I bought it. It was like 50 cents on eBay. I was doing eBay a long time ago, buying things, and you could buy stuff really super cheap then. But it had different rows of like the pumpkin, and it had cats, and it had just a variety of things. So I knew I would be cutting it apart and using it that way. So that's what some of these pieces are from. So they're really kind of random looking, but I like them. Oh, my nose is itching so much. And again, with something like this, it doesn't really matter how crazy it is because it has the Halloween theme, therefore it becomes okay, right? And I can go and get a little off. I want to stick with the round and round because otherwise I tend to get myself a little off kilter there. This is from, I think this is the border or maybe binding from the Halloween quilt that's on my bed that I've had since I think 2010 or 2012 when we were doing a quilting swap with some online blog people while the blogs were still popular and stuff. There's still a lot of blogs now, but they're so full of ads and everything. It's really hard to read it on my phone. I can only really follow blogs if I go on my laptop. Yeah, I have clicker pens for heat erase and they're pointing down over there. And I like to store all of my pens like that. I have these Pilot G2 with the '07 tips on them. I really like them, but I had to throw away the orange one because it was leaking, like almost brand new leaking. It was very frustrating. This one's fun because it has that witch there and stuff. So some of them are really just kind of fun. This is another one from the original Walmart. Now I can see through it. I can't read a newspaper through it, but I can see light through it and stuff. But again, it's fine for a project like this. And for certain things, I mean, I wouldn't put it in a quilt, but I wouldn't have a problem putting it in maybe like a coaster or something. More for myself or something than to sell in the shop. I try not to put too many thin things on there. Quilt as you go, fall leaves to make a table runner for kitchen table. Oh, that would be fun. I'm very much into the fall and holiday theme, as you can see. Let me go ahead and move on to the next one again. So I have this one. Now, maybe you were like me and you purchased some, like this is Snoopy, the Great Pumpkin. I can't use this. It's very well trademarked and sell it in my shop. And I mean, I can, of course, people do it, but you have to be careful that you don't get in trouble doing it. So that's one of those things. So you want to be careful, but I can put it in and mix it in and things like this. Some of them I'm letting be long and some of them I'm trimming because I have no rhyme or reason to it. I just do what I feel like doing. I always wanted one of those fall, the leaves falling down for like a bed quilt or something like that. I started collecting some fabrics and then I just stopped. This one didn't print all the way out to the edge. I think that might sort of be salvage area, but it doesn't have like the holes or anything in it. So I am going to use it. I'm going to try to avoid using things with like the metallic in it. And there's some fabrics that have like that coating on it or something, because those aren't really good to put hot pans on. Right, I follow my rules, right? I kept it in on some of them, and other ones I cut it off. I don't know. As I said, when I'm sorting through things and stuff, this is kind of how I do it, but I just go by feel, and it's hard to say exactly, this is what I do when I just do. I feel like this should go in the scrap bucket or back on the shelf? I don't know. Sometimes with special fabrics like this, I'll take the yardage, and because it's folded up on my shelves, right? 6.5 inches on the rule, 6 inches on the ruler, fold it in half, and it fits right on my shelf. So sometimes I'll open the fabric up and I'll tuck a piece in there. But if it gets a certain size below a fat quarter or something, I usually put it back on the shelf. But certain fabrics feel a certain way to me. Like this is the Halloween and Christmas are specialty fabrics. So I don't always follow the same rules as I would on something that's on my shelf year round. Really wish my nose would stop itching. This is another one. Here's another Walmart fabric. I only have basically scraps left of those, I think. I don't think I have any yardage, but it's really kind of fun. See, and that goes in the itty bitty. Maker's Mart in next town over, going next week. I'm a jack of many things, but master none. Yeah, have to go in with a budget. Sometimes it's good to go in with cash, because that way when you're done, you're done. I like to go around the store and be very excited and put whatever I want into my shopping cart. And then I'm going to put this over here because I don't want to use it. And then I will look at it and see, what do I really absolutely need? And do I have to purchase all of it? Because I use a calculator on my phone, so I'm not surprised at the register. So then I get it down below a normal amount. But it's really kind of fun just to put things in the cart. I get that excited feeling, and I get, to have that feeling without purchasing it all and bringing it all home. Because I don't always need all of it, right? And some things I've learned, I used to just, whatever. But now I'm learning that I can't just whatever anymore. When I see certain things like the Halloween fabrics, I have to purchase them because they're going to be gone. And when you go looking for Halloween fabrics, you can't buy any. So I have to make sure I, balance that out between doing whatever. Like, I need to go to Hobby Lobby to get stuff for the Santa things, but I need to do the Halloween first. So instead of going into the store and getting myself in trouble, I went ahead and I ordered some black fabric with stars on it to line my witch hats. And I have it, it's coming in the mail. FedEx will be delivering it in a few days. Keeps me from going into the store and seeing something else that I want and going down the yarn aisle and maybe going down the craft aisle and looking at beads and stuff. So it keeps me out of trouble. Things are either too long or too short. Another Walmart fabric. You can really tell as soon as I pull them up, I remember them, but as soon as I pull them up, I can see how light it is. To see, I can see the light coming through and stuff. I do know, even with Joanne, some of those that I put like in my daughter's first quilt, she has holes in them where the threads and it just popped open and stuff. And she doesn't mind. Instead of doing like an applique, I will fold under all the edges and then, because she doesn't like raw edge applique. Bunch of black Halloween and Christmas fat quarters where I never use as is. They get used for backings on, perfect for pot holders. Or if I really like to, I use muslin a lot when I have it on hand, but when I'm doing certain projects, like sometimes with zipper pouches or the tote bags or a project like this or something, if I'm just quilting the front of it, I like to put a piece of fabric so it's like a quilt, but it's going to be inside and you can't see it, if that makes sense. I'll use some of those fabrics that I don't know why I even bought them and just use them as a faux backing to make it go through the sewing machine easier. So I'm not wasting the fabric and the money, but I don't actually have to use it and look at it. Hobby Lobby or anything like that can be very dangerous. Michael's and stuff, I go in and I see the beading sections and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I have this fabric in yardage and I love it, but it's got a really huge print to it. But I just love all the other colors. So sometimes I will just use it and cut a section that doesn't have the big, large print area on it. This one definitely has to be cut. I made project bags with it once. I have been collecting beads again, but I haven't sat down and, played with them. Right now, the way I have my schedule going, I am able to take like 1 week a month and just do what I want and still stay up on my videos, which has been a really great blessing. It's been so helpful to not stress out. I'm still kind of doing my Friday videos as I go. So this one's more rectangular and some of them are more squarish. So now I'm going to keep working and I might do let's see if I see two things that are close to the same width. I might sew them together. These are also from that quilt. I think this is the backing of that Halloween quilt. And I could just put these two together, and it doesn't really matter if it matches up and it's the exact same size, or if like I cut two bats in half. How much do you really look at the pot holders, like really look at them versus just a feel for them? Like, hey, this is the apple pot holder, this is the Halloween pot holder, but you don't think, oh, look, those two bats have their, see, you have to be careful with cotton and probably, that's funny, probably polyester too, right? Thank you. And this one here. So then I can just put it, and it's a little too long, and that is fine. I'll just cut the extra off. Just making sure that I can see all of the other fabrics. That way I know that it's not going to have a hole in it like I did with that one zipper pouch. I'm usually pretty good, but if I don't pay attention. And I'm pressing the seam open just so it lays a little bit flatter. But don't quote me on it, because on the next round, I might not do that. Because, when it comes to projects like this, I'm very much willy-nilly. And while I might be good at teaching some things, this is just really Robin craziness, right? So I will need to have a thin piece here, but I can always cut the bats. And then once it's all done, I'll look before I do the last round to see if it hits the 9-inch mark, then I won't put anything there. And you can see I'm not ironing everything. I'm just kind of pressing it this way. Normally, having anything that kind of like bubbles up right here, if you've done string blocks, it happens occasionally, and you just press it and it goes flat, but I kind of can see it still. So for something like this, I don't care. As I start using them and I wash them, the front and the back, or the cotton fibers and the batting, are kind of going to, like, when your daughters wake up in the morning and their hair is a big knotted mess and it's a mat on the back, it kind of does that. I know on mine, I can't pull them. I can't grab the front and back and pull them apart after a while. The heat just kind of, it's almost like doing felted. That's the word. It kind of felts it together a little bit. So I don't worry too much about it. Like, if you want, you can do the top stitching line on these. I would do that if I was selling this in my shop. But for myself, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Whatever. This is another Walmart fabric. I actually made play shorts for Robbie with this. I think I made a pair of boxers out of it too. Even though I didn't go into Joann's all the time, I still miss Joann's, because there's many times where you're like, oh, I've go into these different fabric shops, and even the most amazing quilt shops, they're not always the same with the variety of choice that you can find for, what you want to make and stuff. Someone sent me these scraps. It's a white sugar skull with like red in their eyes and stuff. And it just came in big chunks and small bits where they cut it off. And this is how it came to me, just in this pile, all cut off. So I'm going to do the same thing with this, and I'm going to sew it together. Now, I am going to make sure the skulls are both facing in the right direction. That might irk me, but having a half a skull wouldn't bother me. Cotton yarn into pot holders, dishcloths, and kitchen towels, 100%. I put a bunch of new things in the shop, if you guys didn't see the community tab, and one of them was, I didn't put the round flower coasters in. That's funny, because I stored them away in the Etsy stuff too. So I need to put that up still. But I did put a whole bunch of the dishcloths that I make. Check the back to make sure. And I like to work on them at night when I'm a little tired, and maybe I have, a half hour before bed, and I don't want to pull out a pair of socks or a shawl. So those are my nighttime routine. This one I'm going to leave folded over. It didn't feel too thick. This is not a straight line. It's crooked and it all works. Good afternoon from sunny Nova Scotia. Hello, Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. Yeah, so that's what I work on at night. I finished Robbie's fingerless gloves, but I didn't take a picture of it. And in a later vlog, I'll put a picture up of the. Do you remember the Valentine's Day? The brain's not working. Table runner with the hearts and the swirls. I did that for the Missouri Star Project. I had someone request it in a hot pinks and purples. I had actually cut it out and had everything ready to make a second one in hot pinks and purples, but with gray, and she wanted black. 9.5-inch ruler. Rulers are one of the things that I'll have multiple of because I like the different sizes. So I worked on that. And of course, I didn't take a picture of that when it was finished. I popped it in the mail yesterday. But you'll see that in an upcoming vlog because I do have a picture of it, not quite finished. So let's see. 9. Oh, yeah. No, this is not 9 inches. I'm going to have to go all the way to the edge just to get it to where I want. Oh, Barb, I'm sorry I missed you. I'm working on hand sewing binding on a quilt for your sister in the evening. At the sewing machine, I'm making a picnic quilt for the grandkids. It's a Scrappy string quilt, just top and a backing. Yeah, so it's nice to have those that don't have the batting and stuff in it. And I never really thought, I'm like, why would you want to do that? But I think I want to do that for something for my bed just to I think I will definitely quilt it so it's like a quilt, whether I do the birthing where, right sides together like I'm gonna do with the pot holders, stitch around and then add quilting, so I can still have a fun, bright quilt on my bed in the summertime and not have to have a heavy quilt, you know? So that's my plan. Yeah, Joanne met the needs for a lot. You could bring your kids in, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or whatever, and then just let them go in there. And yeah, Michaels keeps talking about how amazing they are. And I think they're doing it the right way where they're not rushing into it. But at the same time, they're taking so long and talking so much that people are getting a little frustrated with them. I'm going to cheat and go into my longer bin because, it's mine and I can do what I want. Don't laugh. Walmart fabric. Oh, that's just a smidge too short. Now, here's where saving these little pieces come in handy. I'm going to sew this bat onto the bottom of, it's probably going to go right to the bat fabric too, but that's okay. And it's just going to be that smidge longer that I need, and I'm not going to worry about it. This is like crumb quilting to the extreme. It's big. It's jumbo crumb versus, oh, I'm good. I'll put the bats down there. It's jumbo crumbs, right? So since I think I'm just going to, if I were making this into a zipper pouch, I would make sure that the shorter piece was at the tip of it and then trim it off on the bottom. But I kind of like the pumpkins better, so I'm just going to do this. Because remember, when we're just making a whatever, everything counts. We can do whatever we want. As long as we follow the basic guidelines, having a seam allowance that's large enough, doesn't have to be 1/4 of an inch on a project like this. So when you first start sewing and you're just kind of learning what you like and how things work and stuff, I'm just going to do a little on the bottom here. And if it doesn't hit that perfect number that I want, I'm really not going to worry about it. Let me see. I have more of these bats. I really do like these bats. Maybe I don't want to trim those off, though. Oh, Joann's fabric. We all have a lot of Joann's fabric, right? I've gone through my stash a couple times because of doing crumb blocks and curtains and videos and stuff. So it's been nice to have that good turnover. And you see how I'm not going too crazy here? Like, I really should take this and fold it, because when I'm done, since I'm still in the same room with, my bedroom and the cats, I can't just leave everything out. And when I'm done with this video, if I don't finish these, I don't really care. I will work on them another day. I really want to get back to the witches' hats so that I can get those going, because I want to have Halloween items in the shop for September. So there is number one. Now, if you wanted to, if I were making this as a gift, again, I would top stitch all of these. But for myself, I know my pots are heavy and they're going to squish it, because I will put pots on it and not just use it as a pot holder. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just using crummy scraps, as in small pieces, not crummy. I don't like it. And then that's done. When I get to the point of sewing them together, I probably won't do it during the live stream. Maybe I'll do them in a future vlog, but pardon me, let me look at my book. I hope you guys don't get too upset with me that I'm so far ahead on the vlogs. I don't have any like 4th of July that you see in October or something. But right now I am up to the second week of October. So I'm that far ahead on the vlogs, but it's really easy to get behind. And what I've been doing is the thing you hear on like Instagram and TikTok, everything is content. So whenever I'm working on something, I just turn on the camera. So I will turn on my camera when I iron these, finish them, and sew them together, but you won't see them in a vlog. Oh, that's going to be perfect until October. But I will post a picture of them on the community tab and on Instagram, so you can stay up to date in those places, even though you don't stay up to date on the YouTube channel. Make sense? Makes sense. I hope so. Somebody had to be a reasonable source for sewing and crafting. Joanne met the needs. Joanne just, they screwed themselves over. We all know that. They just got, when they sold a few years back or before they went out of business, the new company was treating it as a business and not what it was. And they changed things behind the scene, and they became too much of a corporation and less of a community place. And then they just, they spread themselves too thin and got into too much trouble. Now, Michaels, I think, is being really careful. Michaels has never been, like in Florida, they didn't have the best yarn. Explain to me how at Christmas you didn't have red, white, and green yarn, right? How could you not have red yarn at Christmas time? It's crazy to me. The word I wanted was asinine. Say it with me. Asinine. Sometimes I turn into a PBS show in my head. So, it's like you have to kind of figure things out, and some places online have a really good grasp on it and some places don't. I don't know. It's like I can't put things in the shop that only I like. I have to do what everyone likes. Ow. But I also have to sew things that I enjoy, so I try to find a balance. Joann's had that nice balance. They had a little bit of beads, a little bit of like greeneries and stuff. They had a little bit of yarn and a little bit of kid stuff. So it was a little bit. And it just wasn't like everywhere. You get like an aisle or two, like you'd see. Oh, I got the ums, my apologies. Like you see in Hobby Lobby with the housewares and stuff like that. But it felt like it was a good mix. But then when you get to Michael's and you look at their Halloween section and stuff now, and I feel like it's just for kids, that it's not meant to decorate for adults. All right, glow in the dark, got to put it in here. So I don't cook in the dark, and I don't leave them laying out there on top of my refrigerator. But who knows what might happen in the next house, so that, I have some videos on it, Barb, but this one is from Target. I couldn't get this size anymore. And this one is from Walmart, and they're all the same company and stuff like that and the same things, but it depends on who has it in stock. and whether or not it's in sale. I did remove the stickers on these, but if you search on my videos, if you can't find them, send me an email and I'll find the video for you, and it's all in the description box with the links. But yeah, there should be a video about the new bins and organizing and stuff, and you might be able to see them in the thumbnail. And I love them. And then the ones that, since I couldn't buy these anymore, I had to get, this has become a little catch-all. I had to get this size, which is like double of this size. And I've just been putting, this one doesn't count, but I would put some, like I would put the large Halloween stuff here and then the small Halloween there. Right now, as I said, it's just being a catch-all. But I have about 10 of these. I'm holding off. I need to go to Lowe's and take some of my shelves off the bookcases and bring them to Lowe's, because right now the shelves on my bookcases are like 8 to 12 inches apart. But I want to make them this height and a little bit room to slide it out so I can have one bookcase of just all of these instead of, like right now the bookshelves are made to fit these. So I need to have a good mixture. But I want to take a shelf up to Lowe's and just get a whole bunch of pieces of wood cut, because you can buy those little metal things that go in that the shelf sits on. I also save them. Every time I get rid of a bookcase, I save all those little metal tabs, and I have them somewhere in storage here, wherever. Denise, no, this is going to be for Robin. So I'm making 2 of them, front and back, and the matching set is called Halloween, because Robin doesn't really care. She's particular about certain things, but this is Halloween. If I were making Scrappy, I would mix all the holidays and the colors. The ones on top of my refrigerator right now, I have a brown one and a blue one and a purple one, and they're all Quilt As You Go crumbs. But since I sorted my Halloween fabric and I'm working on Halloween projects, I wanted to make a Halloween version. You're welcome, Barb. It's really frustrating. Like when I go for embroidery floss, I buy my embroidery floss online at 1, 2, 3 stitch. Excuse me, I have to go get my ginger ale. I've had like a tummy ache today. It's driving me crazy. It was fine. I had a chicken sandwich, like grilled chicken sandwich for lunch. It must have been a little off before that. So once I had a sandwich for lunch, my gut was like, we're not happy today. So I have a ginger ale. You know me, I have a sensitive tummy. I'm always grabbing a ginger ale and talking about a tummy ache. Yeah, I'm not, if I were to put things in the shop, at some point I might. I haven't had much luck with hot pads and pot holders, and maybe it's just because I haven't made ones that have caught anyone's eye. Hi, Lee Allen. Oh, you're munching. Yeah, I can hear you eating from here. I hope you're chewing with your mouth shut. I'm just teasing. I told you I'm in a weird mood today. Just teasing. I'm going to be brave and put my soda over here next to me on the table. And let's just hope I don't spill it, because with my luck, it'll spill between the table and the wall. Okay. Now, remember when we're doing log cabin type blocks and we get confused because it's Scrappy? We're going to look at it. This one has a full piece of fabric and 1 seam. Full piece of fabric and 1 seam. Oh, look, there's 2 seams here. And that's how I know this is my next spot. So, like, I could put another boo in here and it would only bother me right now. It wouldn't bother me once it's in the kitchen, but I don't want it to be there right now. So I won't. Look, for those of you that were teasing me, I left this long, well, it's not even sewn down, so I can cut that off. I left a long piece, and other times I cut it off. Here's my trash. But I worked on a lot of different things. I still have most of my Dollar Tree bins. I did put a bunch of them to the road when I moved out of my house in Florida to move in with the kids. And I put some of them and I brought them here, and they're just like sitting in storage. In the house storage. excuse me, ginger ale, and they're just empty containers, but I can see them all around my room and in my closet and stuff. But the ones that I knew I wasn't going to use anymore, I just got rid of. But I find that first I learned that I like the rainbow scraps because I sew a lot by color. And I like to keep the scraps off the shelves so that the fabric sits nice and even. I do have videos for folding my yardage, and they're probably 5, 6 years old. I've had a couple of them where I repeated it, but I still fold it the same way. And I still do my scraps rainbow strips like this, and it just works really well for me. I like it. So I'm going to keep doing it. It took me a bit to figure it out, right? To find what worked for me. And once I did, and then I saw these containers on someone else's craft room. I don't even know if it was a sewing one. It might have been something else. And I thought that's perfect because I had white containers and green ones from the Dollar Tree, and I couldn't see what was in them or how much was in them. So I never knew if I needed more orange scraps because I always run out of orange or what. So that's why I like these clear ones because I can look and see whether or not should I look at Etsy and get some more Halloween scraps, or do I need more? Well, I don't need any more purple. I can tell you that right now. Bin video, fabric, scrap chat, storing, cutting, sorting. Thank you, Jackie. You're so helpful. We really appreciate it. Yeah, and that's the main one. And then there's other ones I chat about it and put it in there, but that'll have all the links. And if you can find these, great. If not, you might have to go to the bigger size. Like some of the ones I have my fabric postcards in, I show that a lot. And I keep charm squares and stuff in those like shoe boxes with the plastic lid where the handles go up. And I try to reorder them right from the same link. But the problem is they changed the handle cover colors. So when they change the colors, then they say, oh, we don't sell that anymore. So you just kind of have to look for the same things, but it'll be a different color. Like mine are purple, and then now I have like teal ones. And you have to be careful. I found out today that the lids aren't interchangeable. The parts where the handles go up, they're either rounded or different widths. So the lids aren't interchangeable. Because I tried to put the wrong lid on one. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I had two open at the same time. Well, we really appreciate it, Jackie. Really do. Okay. This one might be a Walmart one too, but it could be a Joann's. It's a little bit tighter woven, so it's not as see-through. I wanted to say thicker, but that's not the word. Okay, so there's another one. I want to leave that out so you guys can see that, but I want to have these too. So we'll just have to deal with it. And remember, cotton batting, again, anytime it goes near fabric, it's going to get stuck, which is why I like it for certain projects like this, especially because my needle just came unthreaded. It holds everything in place nicely. I got fuzzies on my automatic needle threader. There we go. Okay, once again, if I want to keep going in the same thing, even though I'm using different widths of fabric, it doesn't matter too much, but I do like to try. This one isn't completely pressed. I didn't press everything last night, but it's just got a couple folds, you know, from the way it was stored, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, I am making a mess now. I will have to clean it up, but I'm really kind of a contained mess, and it's not too bad. I used to be total piles of fabric, can't find anything where you're working and stuff, and I found out that I just don't do well in that chaos. Like people laugh at me, but I clean my kitchen sink and I clean all the counters and stuff before I do the dishes. And that way I start with a clean area, because how are you going to wash your dishes and put them in a dirty sink? Now, if you know what's been in there, It's not a big deal, but I live with two boys. You never know what's in this thing. It could be burger grease, it could be Chinese food. Robbie's been eating chili dogs lately, so you could have anything in there. This is sitting right here, so I'm just going to put it on. Yeah, so I really do think that if you can do controlled chaos like this, maybe if it's too much for you, if you're like new and you're struggling with the perfect quarter of an inch seam and matching everything up, it's good to get comfortable with your machine and get a little practice in. So if you can't do a perfect quilt block, you can always use a quilt block and turn it into a pot holder or something. This allows you to feel comfortable with your machine. And if this is too much for you, do one color and then just make your project with one color. I'm going to put these two together. I don't know if someone sent me these or if they kind of look like a Walmart one also. I can't remember. My husband Rob used to say, "Oh well, hey, it's only $1 a yard. Grab a few yards of this. Grab it." I'm like, "I don't need it." He's like, "You never know when you're gonna need it." See, look what I did. He's like, "It's on sale. It's on clearance. Grab it. You'll need it next Halloween." I'm like, "Okay, dear," and I still have some of it, so it's kind of sweet. Because I don't always want to buy for myself. When the kids were little and stuff, I would just, let's get them something, not me something. So it's kind of nice to have someone to be like, no, get it for you. Go ahead. It's crazy for those of you that have been here with me for a while. We just passed the 7-year anniversary of Rob's passing. That's crazy. It feels like yesterday and 100 years ago, how things are like that, like when your kids get older and stuff. It's just really easy to lose track of time. So now I have all of these too, and this time I'm going to take one of these and one of these and sew them together and have a little bit of fun there. They're both greenish. They have that weird Halloween kind of slimy feel color to it. I was talking to someone recently too. It's kind of interesting. I always wondered why some people stayed in their house after their spouse passed away. And it seems a lot to do with age and why some people left. So now I've experienced it both ways, and I can understand the staying with the memories and stuff. And I can also understand why people would want to leave because of the memories. Because I never understood why, people would leave. That's your home. You've lived there 20, 30, 40 years. Why would you leave? You love that home. But it really kind of like, it doesn't change the sorrow. Like you miss people still, but it's like it puts a break line in it, and you're not like stuck in that one, wallowing or whatever you want to call it. You can kind of move forward a little bit. So again, it's just been really interesting in the last few years to see how different things go, to see my children change as adults. I mean, they're in their 30s. I remember my 30s. I remember still kind of growing and changing. 30 to 45 was my best time. Right? It doesn't seem that long, Lee Allen. It's been a long time. I look at like my cats. My oldest cat is 14 years old. I'm like, and the thing is we got her when Robbie was, okay, so let me do the math. He was 13, middle school age and stuff like that. And now he's like a man. He's 27. He's all, I don't know about all grown up. I don't know. Are we all I think I'm all grown up. But I don't think 27's all grown up. I still like You're all grown up, yes, but you start experiencing and living things differently in your 30s. He's still single. Whether he stays single or finds someone along the way, I don't know. He doesn't know. But right now it's just him. So it's just kind of interesting. I told all my kids, I said, you really don't, your brain's not fully grown until, when you turn 25, you think at 18, you're an adult, you're all grown up, but it's different. There's still more brain growth and stuff. You're going to look at things differently when Oh, yeah, definitely. When you turn 25, it's not like an automatic thing, but it's kind of like an automatic thing. Your brain just clicks and things work a little differently. And it's just interesting on how that can happen. This is Joanne's. Oh, yeah, Jody, you're in a huge family home. My house was just under 1,200 square foot. It was technically a 3 bedroom, and it had a dining room that was like a raised platform, almost like a dance floor that we walled it. Rob and Mandy put walls around it and turned it into her bedroom because the kids, it was Robbie. Let's say Robbie was born, then Mandy was 8 years, and then Robbie was born and Justin was 11 years. So there's 8 years between the two youngest and 11 years between Robbie and his oldest brother. So it's like we couldn't put them all in the same room. It's not like you can just put boys together when one's a baby and one's 11. And at that point, it was 3 and 14. So we turned the dining room into my daughter's bedroom. But yeah, it's just, I mean, we were in that house for over 20 years, but it's just crazy. Oh, yeah. I always look at things like, when did that happen? Oh, let me think. Was it before or after Rob? Was Rob part of the story? Oh, no, he was gone then. So it was after Rob passed away. Rob passed away in 2019. Or is it before or after COVID, right? And, were the kids in school or not in school? And now we spent a year and a half in upstate New York by Fort Drum. So it's like, were we in New York? So the next thing was like, did that happen before Arizona or after? Considering I plan on going back to the same area, just a different, 2 towns over is what it's going to be. It'll be in the same county. Now, I personally feel that this is going to look better once it's been ironed and nice and flat. You can kind of see it bubbles a little here and stuff. But again, it's not a big deal. It's a pot holder. I have to, fuzzies, excuse me. I have to let things go too, right? I can't, I'm not really particular about, like, I'm not strict. And at the same time, I need things to be a certain way still. The benchmark, exactly, Leon, the benchmarks. Like, if you unfortunately got sick or got into an accident or something, or it was the year grandma died. I'm terrible with dates and stuff like that. Like, I know my grandmother died at a certain year because it was the January that we were still in New York, right? But if it had happened while we were in Florida, forget it. I wouldn't be able to benchmark it at all. Grandma was funny. Grandma loved Christmas, and my grandfather's birthday is January 2nd. And my grandmother, I believe she made it till January 7th. She told us early on she had a rare form of Parkinson's, so it didn't take too long before she couldn't speak. But she told me early on that since Christmas being her favorite holiday, she didn't want to ruin Christmas for anyone. Like, every year, it takes me by surprise. I get really sad and I don't know why. And then my daughter will talk about her father's birthday, and I'm like, oh, yeah. And it sounds terrible, but Rob and I never remembered our wedding anniversary either. So he wouldn't be upset with me if I kind of forgot. He probably would because he was very self centered, but I don't think he would be mad because he knows how it is. I'm okay. He doesn't haunt me. So I'm good. The grandparents don't haunt me. I'm good. I lost everyone moving to Arizona, so nobody haunts me. Jody, if you end up having yeah, if you end up having to leave that house, I know you would be heartbroken. At least I think you would be heartbroken. I don't know. It would have to be for a really good reason, and the next place would have to have significant situation improvements and whatever for you, because so many of your memories in your life and your children are surrounded by that place. Jody has told me that she loves to entertain and they had a lot of parties and stuff there. I can't see you selling it. I would see you, hiring someone to come in and take care of things for you, to cook for you or clean for you and stuff. I couldn't see you. I think this time I'm going to put two of these together. I couldn't see you like selling the house. I loved my little house. It was the perfect size. It was it was a cracker box laying on its side, a nice little rectangle. It gave me a huge backyard and a decent front yard compared to the new huge houses they would build. They would build three-bedroom houses and they're 4,000 square feet, one story. I'm like, you don't need that much space, right? Our kids had their own lives and they had secrets from us because we want them to have certain secrets, nothing bad. But don't tell your parents everything. You need to have something. But they couldn't like go in their room and hide because they're they were just down the hall, right? It's not like, close the door and nobody can see you or hear from you. But there's still enough privacy. So having like a huge house, it's just families don't spend time with each other anymore when the houses are that big, right? Where's your kids? Well, I don't know. Are they home? I don't know. They're three. I hope they're home. Jackie, I think that was a great move for you too. I was crazy and I was like in a state or something, and I cleaned up all of Rob's stuff and packed it right away. That was not the best idea either. Jackie has mentioned this, so I don't think she's gonna mind me saying it. Jackie, didn't you basically switch houses with your daughter? You didn't buy a new house, right? So the family got the bigger house and you got the smaller house. I think that works out really great. Robbie and I, we were talking the other day about like Amish who have the grandparents' house. Like when your children start to when your firstborn son starts his family, he gets the main house, and the parents, grandparents slash grandparents move into the small DAAD house, I think it's called, in the back of there. And that way you're still close enough so that your family can take care of you, but you don't have the big house anymore because you just don't need it. Yeah, I went crazy and just did as much as I could. With living in a rectangle house like that, a cracker box house, yeah, I couldn't really like rearrange much because things only fit a certain way. Like the living room had to be a certain way because the mirror behind the couch, it was a full wall of mirrors, and you don't want to stare at yourself watching TV. And did it matter if the couch was on this wall or this wall when your living room is a rectangle like that? I think it was like 8 foot by 12 foot, if I recall. So it is what it is. Oh, bummer. They weren't lined up. The last few had a skull on top and a skull on the bottom, and this one's got halvesies. I don't care, but it would have been nice. But something like that, ooh, that's still too short. I wouldn't put it like this in a zipper pouch. I wouldn't have done that because it it's just a little off. It looks a little awkward. So let's see. What do we have? Let's put some candy corn. Oh, here's one. This is it's a 2.5 inch square because it's got the pinked edges. I don't want to use that. So that when I go and I need a 2.5 inch square, I won't have to cut it. You know what I'm saying? That'll be perfect. Stars. That's not, that's Walmart. I can see through it. Or cheap Joann's. I didn't get this kind of fabric. If you go online, even if you don't shop at Hobby Lobby, if you're willing to look at the website or just search um, black fabric with stars, that's what I did on Google, and it showed a bunch of them. I chose the Hobby Lobby one to put in the lining of my witch hats so that when you see underneath the brim, the inside of the hat doesn't really matter, but underneath the brim you can see. So I thought the stars would be good for a witchy hat. I was looking at some of the fabric. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I wanted to make an autumnal hat, but I looked through my autumn fabrics and I didn't really see one. I have some that are kind of cool and all, but I don't know if they'll work for a hat. So I think I'm just going to have to stick with the witches unless I come across something. Now I could do a patchwork one with some like scarecrow fabric and stuff, but just one fabric isn't going to work. When we finish this one, I'll pick up my mess and then I'll show you. We might even be able to sew these together. I don't have the iron plugged in or anything like that, but it'll be all right. We'll totally wing it. That's it, right? Done. I'll show you the witch's hats, the fabrics that I started today. So I'm going to put all of these back here again semi-neatly. Oh, this is not, the pumpkins got in there because I was mixing the autumnal, because I like the word versus just autumn. I was mixing that in with the Halloween. So I now have a container for those. I don't have that many autumn scraps or anything. I've made a couple zipper pouches with them. I think I have a few left in the shop. I know I sent one out to a customer this week. Let me show you. I haven't gone through the shelves and pulled out things that are less than a fat quarter. But right now, this is all I have for the autumn scraps. That's not a lot. But it's fun. It's still enough to play with, but it's not a lot. I do have several fat quarters. Someone had sent me, 2 people I think had sent me some packs of they created the pack of 5 autumn fat quarters. Some of them were pumpkins and trucks and stuff, which were really cool. Now, I don't put labels on it. I did Google it, and apparently Google says it's okay if I put the heat and bond labels on these. You put it on the back of it so that the pot's not sitting on it because it's a cotton label. So the heat and bond, they say, shouldn't affect it, but don't put it in the microwave type thing. But I usually don't put the labels on it, but I don't know. So Halloween, oh, look, I'm good. I don't have the iron plugged in, so do we want to keep going or should we stop? Uh-oh, Jody might fall asleep. Oh, is it getting windy? Yeah, sometimes the cats and I were laying in bed because a lot of the storms came through at night. Yeah, when we bought the house, the living room wall that we put the couches up against, it was just floor-length mirrors. The whole wall was mirrored. Maybe to make the room look bigger or something, but the internet and stuff was across from it, so you had to put the couches there. You couldn't drill through the mirrors, right? And they were so old. Some of them, they have panels in mirror, and then they have like a 2-inch strip that covers the seam. And I had to super glue a couple of those back in place. Basically, the couch held it in place, but where am I going? The people who bought the house, I sold it to a We Buy Ugly Houses people, and they renovated it, and then it got sold twice already. And it looks like the people that, I don't know where to put this. The people that own it are going to, I think they're living in it. They put up these, I'll get a picture when we go back home. They put up these little, well, you know what? No, I don't want to look up that right now. They put a little white picket fence around the garden in the front, like not the house, just along the garden edge. So it looked really kind of cute. I'm just plugging in the iron. So what I'm going to do is press them, and then I'm just going to put them, trim them, put them together, right sides together, sew around them, turn them through. Oops, see, sorry, I made you Godzilla shake. My apologies. Are the hats different sizes? I did try it on. It's basic adult size hat. It's a little bit of room for me. Let me see. I will probably take a picture of my head. I don't want to. But my head, yeah, my head's, it's a 22-inch head. Hey, when I ordered my Halloween fabric, they sent me a Dritz measuring tape with it. I really kind of like it. The numbers are nice and big compared to, I had the ones that go zzz, zzz, and then it broke, so I just took the tape out. So it's really nice. Maybe before we go, I'll turn the camera and show you my head. How's that sound? Does that sound like a good idea? I'll put the measurements and stuff, but Godzilla. I am also making some. Do you guys remember last year? I think it was the year before. I made the small witch's hat for bunting. I'm not making them that small this year, but I am making them somewhere between. I'm going to make like, it's not for newborns, but kind of newborn size, and it'll be like a centerpiece to put on the center of a table. Just set it down. You can also put it on like a pumpkin as a witch's hat on a pumpkin that you decorate. So you guys have seen the fabric. I had to cut this one out twice because I didn't pay attention to the directional. They all need to be quilted. So I really love these colors together. This is kind of my favorite. So you can't see the whole hat, but you can see enough. Now, I did think that the pattern said you needed a yard of fabric for the hat and a yard of fabric for the brim, but I think they were talking outer and lining because I only bought a half a yard of this and I was able to use the frog to make a hat. I'm really excited about that. And then here's the roses that a lot of us enjoyed, the black roses and the blue on the blue background. And I have enough of these to make other projects. So if you see something you like and you would like a zipper pouch, a coaster, or whatever, just speak up. And this was a popular one for the ghost. They were supposed to be hot pads, but I didn't want to make hot pads, so I made mini mug rugs or coasters with it. So I am making a hat with this now. Well, measure your head. I'm sure you have a tape or a shoelace or something. It can be adjusted, like if someone were making it for themselves. I'm only going to be offering this one size. I'm not making adjustments, but yeah, so that's that plan. There are videos on YouTube to show you how to thunder Godzilla to adjust the size. I did see some the other day when I was working on these scraps, I believe, or doing something. I just watched all the videos I could find online on the witches hats. I already knew how to make them and I've got that skill and I'm good with it and I have plans, but I just thought it was enjoyable to watch everyone else do the witch hats. Some people have a couple different ways to do it. Like, I don't like the ones with the binding around the brim, mostly because one, I don't want to do the binding, but two, I don't think it's I think it's going to make it too stiff on there. I like the kind of floppy hats. Now, this is what my hat looks like right now. I haven't finished it. I showed this in a picture once already. It's floppy, but I plan on doing something with the lining to give it a little bit more structure. But so it does stand up, and it will stand up when I put the lining on and stuff, but the brim is a little floppy. So I want to make sure the brim has some structure to it. I don't want binding on it, and I also want you to be able to kind of manipulate it a little bit. Some people are putting wires in their hats. Some people are putting darts in it so that it kind of has a like a Harry Potter look to the hat and stuff like that. But even when the lining goes in, I think it'll stay put. So if you want to like tuck the hat down and stuff like that. So I really love these two fabrics together. And I think I'm going to make one opposite so that the gray is on the top and then this is on the bottom. Some people are making these out of cutter quilts and old quilts that they find, but some of them, they're just like sewing around the edge and leaving all the batting and stuff, or they leave all the batting and stuff showing here and everything like that. And I just don't care for it too much. So I have crosshatch diamonds here, crosshatch diamonds here, but they're smaller. The lining and in here, I think I will quilt the brim lining, but not the hat lining. Because the hat sits on my head really nice. I have room. I wonder if I can measure this. I can measure this. I'm smart. And my tape measure is flexible. Let's start here. So round and round we go. I just thought having one as a table centerpiece would be really fun, either as a decoration or as a like on the dining room table when you're all going to sit down and have a big Thanksgiving. Yeah, so this is 25.5 inches all the way around right now. So it's kind of like a knit hat, like when you're knitting, it's kind of like a ribbed hat. It's not going to fit all sizes, but your ears are going to keep it from falling down too much. It sits comfortably. Thanks, Barb. It sits comfortably on my head. It's not tight or anything. I know I just have a basic average size head based on checking for knitting and crochet hats and stuff. It's just I'm just an average size. Now, Justin has a huge head. We weren't even able to buy him hats as a baby, as a newborn. And he struggles now to find a baseball hat that fits his head. I'm using the cotton batting. I can put my iron right on the cotton batting. It won't melt to my iron. If you're using something else or cotton with scrim, which is like glue it's like a piece of lightweight fusible interfacing that they put on the back of the batting to hold it in place. This one is needle punched like this. So I can do this no problem. Now I like the look so much better because it's all flat. Remember, don't put it on your cutting mat when it's hot because your cutting mat will bubble up a little bit. I don't think I've done it this month, but I know I did it last month. Again, it's going to flatten out. I have, maybe if you get a little pucker or a wrinkle, I have a wrinkle. Sometimes I iron wrinkles in instead of iron them out. So I could see like this orange piece has a little bit of extra fabric there because I didn't smooth it out before putting the next piece on. I didn't give it a good press. But again, pot holder and hot pad. So if you have a similar problem, now you know how to fix it. Top stitch, press it really good, or press it really good and top stitch it, and it'll hold it in place so it doesn't bubble up like that. So same thing with this piece of fabric. It gets a little bit of a wrinkle tuck pucker right there because it has a little too much. And when I say too much, it's probably like 1/8 of an inch, if a little bit less than a quarter, So it's that part is my pickiness. So I didn't get picky putting anything on here, but I get a little picky like doing string blocks. I always sew the center one and then each side, and then I press it, and then each side, and then I press it. I just prefer everything to lay nice and flat. Okay. So then I'm not really worried. You're not going to be able to see me cutting, I don't think. I'm not really worried that like they're all the same size. I don't care if one is 9 by 9 1/4 or anything crazy like that. I just go through and trim off anywhere where there's fabric and no batting, because I want to make sure I have batting underneath all pieces, and I do prefer to trim from the front. I'm going to go over as far as I can to the edge of the shortest piece of fabric, and the same thing with the top. My apologies, you're getting conversation and not visual, but we have done this many times. And we all know I like to talk, so I've shown it a bunch. And then I just pick a number and line it up. So the bottom, the side, just wiggle it around. It doesn't matter, as I said, because I'm going to match two pieces. It doesn't matter. So what I'll do is I'll cut out all 4 pieces, and then I'll see which group of 2 and 2 fit together the best. And if I have to, I'll trim anything I need to smaller, right? So that they match. Just trim. When I set up my next studio or my Florida studio, I'm going to try to set it up so that I can put the camera there, and then you can just see in this direction to make it easier to be able to see things instead of just coming like that. You may or may not still see my face. So this piece right here, this skull, purple and blue skull, it angles down. So this is my, what I call my shortest area. So I have to put my ruler so I can see this intersection. And then up here, this glow-in-the-dark black and white skeleton, I need to make sure that this part is the shortest so that my ruler goes there. And then I'll show you how, once I get these two, I'll show you how I make the matching set. I wasn't planning on sewing it together, so I moved my sewing machine over to be a little bit closer so you could see more of the sewing without me having to zoom in too much. But then, it didn't take as long as I thought because I had all of my fabrics cut. And this is why I do what I call rectangle straightish edge, straight-ish. It's not 2.5 inches straight down. It could be 2.5 down to 2. I try not to let it go all the way down to like 1 inch or something. I'll cut it and have 2 separate pieces. But I just lost my train of thought. It's okay. It wasn't important. My grandma always said, must have been a lie if you forgot what you were talking about, right? So, oh yeah, that's why I keep my fabric all prepared, and I've been slowly, oh so slowly going through the stash and trimming everybody up. I don't even think these are going to be square, so it might not be 9, but I already said that it might not be 9 by 9. And this top part might be 9 and the bottom part might be 9 1/4. I don't care. As long as it works, it's for me. But now I can just pull out my bins and I can just sew. I'm good to go. I don't have to. See, I almost made this part of the pot holder. I don't have to. Get over there. I don't have to take the time to press the fabric and trim the fabric as I go. I can just pick up pieces and sew. And it takes us longer to make things when I'm chatting with you guys. And we still are getting 2 totally scrappy pot holders done, right? Oh, that's really wonky, Robin. Pay a little bit more attention. Oh, we might have a problem here. This one's 8.5 by like 8 1/4. I think I better add a piece here and a piece there to make this one work. Let me see. This one looks like the smallest. Oh, no, it'll be okay. I have another one that'll be small enough. It's like I didn't want to have to cut 2 inches off of one of those or 1.5 inches or something. Have you ever tried to use a rotary cutter without opening it up? I've done that a lot lately. Now, I'm throwing all that away. I don't save her for pin cushions or dog beds or anything like that. The dog places, the shelters and stuff in my area of Florida, they do not accept pet beds made with scrap fabrics and stuff. It's too thick, and if it has to be washed or the dog gets sick on it, has an accident, somehow it gets wet from the rain or the dog's water dish or something, it really ends up getting like moldy and stuff and becoming an issue for them. So they do not like that. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting wrong sides together to see about the same size. And then I think this one like that and make it go like that. Yep. And neither of them are the same size. And again, it's going to be fine. So what I'm going to do is I'll take these two and I'll put them right sides together. Let me, Godzilla. When I'm doing Godzilla, I'm trying to walk very gently, but these floors are just stupid. They really are. The tiles and the fake wood slats, they're not like glued down. They're really floating. So a lot of the tiles are hollow sounding, and they just, everything shifts and stuff when you're walking on it. All right, so if I put these two together-ish, I'm going to sew it with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to line up two sides and then see what happens on the other two sides, right? I can see the bottom fabric sticking out, so I'll just put some pins in it and it'll be fine. Pins do not like to go through seam allowances. I like the 2 pieces of batting. It's just enough 4 pins to hold everything together. Now this one, this is the shorter piece. It's smaller. So I'm going to put this on the bottom. So when I put this on the top, I can see it's like 1/4 of an inch, if that, all the way around. So that's not too much to cut off. And then I'll put pins. Remember to put your pins in where you're not sewing so that you don't have to move them while you're sewing, but close enough to keep everything from shifting. I find sewing round and round in a square, it tends to move while I'm sewing and make it kind of off kilter. Now I'm doing a thing that's going to drive some people crazy. I did not trim my threads because, hey, pot holder, it's insulation, right? I'll need my rotary cutter. My ironing station is in my way. Remove my pins. Okay. Found my chair. Hydrate break. Time to hydrate. I am so happy to be working on those witches' hats. For years, I've been wanting to do Halloween projects, and I just don't get them done in time because I'm too busy working on other things. Now, there's usually 4 weekends. There's 5 this month, but there's usually 4 weekends in a month, right? So 2 weekends are for live streams, and 2 weekends I make sure that I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to sew for the Etsy shop. So on Friday, I do all the prep work, and Saturday and Sunday, I do all the sewing. And then I take all the pictures on Monday and then hopefully get everything into the shop by Friday. And that's been working out really well. So now this month has 5 weekends. So that means I get 3 weekends to sew for the Etsy shop. And then also while I'm sewing for the Etsy shop, I get to turn the camera on and make vlog content. And that's how I've gotten so far ahead that technically if I work 7 days a week, I could make 7 vlogs in 1 week. Because YouTube says that anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes is the best for a vlog and around 20 to 30 minutes for sewing vlogs. So if I keep it in the 20 to 30 range, I never know what it's going to be until I edit the video, but I kind of have an idea. Because sometimes I'll record in my phone, the videos will be 3 hours long, but I'll only get a 20-minute video because there's a lot of Okay, let me see. Where's all this? Oh, I got to go in the other room and get a piece of fabric. Oh, the dogs are barking. I almost said the dogs are meowing. The cat wants to have a snack, right? And then one of the kids will come in and talk to me, and I just let the camera run, so it could be really long. A lot of the things don't need to be seen with me, just like, where are the pins? I dropped the pin. Where's the pin? Hey, I learned a new tip from Rambling Robin today. If you drop a pin somewhere on your table, you can't find it. If you have one of the newer iPhones, they're magnetic. I lost a hand sewing pin when I was doing the embroidery projects, and I totally freaked out because I was afraid the cats were going to swallow it or something. It was stuck to the back of my phone because my phone's magnetic. So in case you lose something, use your phone. That's going to be one. I'm going to work on the hats and these projects. I took all the wash away stabilizer off. So there's the bow. It was supposed to have something in the center. I left it blank because it was too mushed looking. Oh, I didn't put the French knots right there. It's still fine. I could add it if I want. And then I have this one. And this one I think is my favorite just because it's on the brown. And I just like the way those colors are popping off of it. The green, the burgundy, the coral, and like the golden. So I have a few ideas for these. So I'm going to finish these up. These are the ones that the Fat Quarter Shop sent me. And these are the corduroy that Missouri. Now I talked about them. I'm going to have to make this video promotional. Whatever. So I want to get those finished up instead of just sitting over there. They're sitting on my little in tray thing I've got going on. All right, so now I'm going to sew around these with a 3/8 of an inch seam. 2.4 stitch length is good. I say that a lot because I've had some people on my older videos thank me for mentioning that because when you're new, you don't know, right? Like, what should I do? What stitch length should I use and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave an opening here. This side doesn't have any of the seams. It's like the last round that we put on both sides. Just happened to line up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. I'm a terrible judge of distance, driving and sewing. So I sew all the way off and then come back. Because if I have to judge where 3/8 of an inch is or 1/4 of an inch, I'm terrible at it. I'm always off by 1 or 2 stitches. And that bothers me if I have to back up. I don't backstitch on it. Some people said I should, so on my sewing machine, I hit the lever and made it more towards the turtle than the bunny. Some people say I should back up, but I did it for a while. And I thought, well, what's the difference? If you're making quilt blocks and you cross your threads, it's considered good. And I'm going to top stitch it, so I'm not going to worry about it. I almost sewed over my finger. That would have been fun for the live stream. I'm trying to use up my bobbins. Here's another thing that surprised me. I bought a new spool of the Essentials white thread. It's 100% cotton. Now, the one, I put the dates on the inside. The last one took me, I think, 13 months or maybe 14 months to use. This one's from February 20th, and it's almost, I mean, it's not empty yet, but it's getting pretty close. I'm going to go through this one so much faster than the last one, which just shows that I'm getting a lot done this year. The other thing on my soon to sew list is going to be the Nantucket pouch that you guys asked about in a previous live stream. So if that's something you're looking forward to, it's going to at least be done during a vlog and then possibly during a live stream. So I left this opening, and before I do anything, I will trim all of this extra off from the bottom one so they're both the same size. Take out the pins, turn it right side out, blah, 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 blah. Same thing here. I do 3/8 inch seam allowance when a lot of people prefer 1/4 of an inch, and that's because with a 1/4 of an inch, I can't guarantee with projects like these that I'm this one obviously it's easy, you can see it. But if they're both the same size, if the bottom shifts just a smidge, it's hard to keep that 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. But by having it at a 3/8 of an inch, I have that extra wiggle room in case something goes a little wonky. Like maybe one of the pieces on the bottom is just off a little bit, you know? So it's going to work out okay. Like this corner up here, I can see that it's not even on both sides, but it's going to be okay. And sometimes, like I just did, I was looking at something else and I went in towards the pot holder, so it was a little bit more than 3/8 of an inch. But on something like this, I don't think anyone's going to notice a little bit of a crookedness. Whoops, I forgot to leave an opening. Almost forgot. Ta-da. Now we take the pins out because we're lucky that I made it. I only got stuck once and I didn't have to scream because I only got poked versus needing a Band-Aid because I'm just not good with pins. I think I move around too much. Like I move as much as I talk. So I'm always getting poked. Which is, I was thrilled when I learned about the clips, the quilting clips. I don't like when the pins are squished together too much because then you can't grab them out. There, done. Now with this, I can, I don't even have to take out the rotary cutter. I can do this. And if you want, you can now trim it down to the 1/4 of an inch seam. Look at the back of the scissors stuck back there. So if you're like, oh, that, because when you're doing something super thick like this, it'll cause like a rolled edge. So it'll almost be like a, not binding, but it'll have a frame around it where it's all rolled. And if you don't like that, you can always trim it down a little bit more. Then I'm just going to take a smidge off the corners, not a lot. Ta-da. Okay. Same thing on this one. These are pretty close to the same size, so they don't really need too much trimming. A little bit off the corners. Sometimes it's nice to just have a fast project like this that you don't have to think about and worry about so much. And I think that's what got me hooked on doing the crumbs. I'm going to turn it right side out, is because I don't have to be perfect when doing crumb blocks like this and stuff. It doesn't have to be exact. If I put something on a little crooked or a seam's not quite right, it's going to be okay because everything's going to be a little bit off. So if one section is a little extra off, it's not noticeable. Then I just bring out the corners. Now with all of this fabric and batting, I'm not going to get beautiful corners. I do not like to put binding on projects like this. And if I did, I would use single fold binding. And I don't like to you could do orphan blocks, right? And it'll work, but I don't want to use a block that I could use on another project and put it on a pot holder. That's just going to get ugly. Like if you have white background fabric and you use like a Halloween friendship star. I made a lot of friendship stars when I first started sewing, or pinwheels. And then it's just going to get dirty. That white's not going to be white anymore. This way, if it gets some grunge on it somewhere, there's such a crazy bit of fabric going on both sides. Because a lot of times I'll just put a solid piece of fabric on the back, but I thought this might be fun. All right, I'm gonna do the thing I tell everyone not to because my pokey thingy's over there, but there's a lot of batting in these corners. Just gonna work it out a little bit. Again, I don't care if my corners are poked out perfectly on this project. On other projects, I do care. So I've made 4 pieces. I didn't make a big dent in my scraps, but I used up a lot of fabrics. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 times 4 is 48. So if I use the same amount on all of them, I've used 48 scraps. So you can make crumb blocks and scrappy log cabins and then just have a good day at it. I am going to press this. I was going to say I won't even press it, but I have to press it. It's like the law. So let me sneak over here. And you see, I picked up most of my mess. I put away my fabrics and I'm in good shape. Excuse me, I'm going to reach in front of you. And come on. And when I'm done, it's 3 o'clock, so I'll clean everything up and put away stuff and make sure the live stream's going good and all that and feed the cats. And after dinner, I can start in on my next project and I won't have like a big disaster area where I just want to shove everything to the side and ignore it. Now, I'm going to use a longer stitch length for these because it is super thick. So that's another reason to use a solid piece of fabric on the back. Plus, sometimes if I'm working on a video or a live stream with you guys, hey, we never had Giovanna today, did we? Uh-oh, I think she's missing it. She thought last Saturday was a live stream because she was asking what time it was going to be because I didn't put up the video on Friday, the warning, as a reminder. So I think she's gotten her weekends confused. She's going to be upset. I'm going to hear it. Oh, that's hot in the comment. She's going to be like, darn, I missed it. Because Giovanna and I usually agree to have a solid fabric on the back of a zipper pouch and just on the front. But it is nice sometimes to have both sides wild and crazy. I was going to say like it might be a nice teacher's gift, but I wonder if you would need to like theme it a certain way, like maybe use school colors or the teacher's favorite colors, or if you know they decorate for Halloween or Christmas a lot, you can do holiday ones. There's not much to ironing this because, again, it's super thick. Another reason for the 3/8 of an inch is when I do the top stitching around, I have much more space here to do my top stitching than if it was just a 1/4 of an inch, because if a 1/4 of an inch rolled around and inside there, it'd be a problem. I'd probably have to remove some of the batting and stuff like that. I have white thread, which is nice because it blends with everything. And again, not to repeat myself, but I really don't care. I mean, I probably wouldn't put pink around here, but let's see. Let's go up to a 3.0. I think we're going to need that. You can tell if you need a longer stitch length if your stitches are like sucked down into here and you can't see the individual stitches and you're like struggling to get your fabric through it. I don't know. I'm not official, guys, right? I just give you information based on my experience and the knowledge that I've learned from doing things over and over again. So if someone smarter than me and more professional than me tells you something and it makes more sense, then do whatever works for you. But if you're flying by the seat of your pants like I do, just go by a feel. I like to sew to like right here, and then I'll look like, okay, my stitches it's compressing the edge. That's what's going to happen. I can see the stitches. It doesn't look like everything's being squished in. Now I can decide, Well, let me be honest with you, especially for mine, if even with you guys, you don't see it, but there's been times on the top of the zipper pouch when I mean to put it at a 2.4 and I forget and it's a 2.0. One side is top stitched at a 2.0, and on the other side of the zipper or halfway through when I remember, I change it. It's not that noticeable. And you know how picky I am when I do things for the shop. Go slow on the corners where things are super thick. This is not a race. I usually put clips in, but oh, the clips are behind me. I forgot. And then just go slow until it grabs everything. It takes a second to grab it, and then just go around. Like I say all the time, if you're someone new, and I'm trying to make sure that everything comes out to the edge, and lines up. If you're new and you make one quilt a year, how are you going to practice and learn those skills? Make your one quilt a year, but also do small projects like table runners and placemats and coasters. It's loud because of the whole thickness. Technically, I probably should have used a different needle, like a jeans needle, but it's fine. Then you can practice on these little things, and if it gets off and it gets a little ugly, put a pot on it and no one's going to see, right? Maybe you don't give it to your parents for Christmas, but after you make a couple and you find your mistakes and you figure, I really like the way that looks, and you figure things out, then I like that side better. Then you're ready to take it, on the road, so to speak. You're ready to move on to a big project. If you want to make your daughter a wedding ring quilt for her wedding quilt or something really nice and you're new to quilting, practice on small things like this so that when you go to the big thing and you use the good fabric, hopefully there's less seam ripping and less swearing and things come out a certain way, right? That your daughter might not care. Oh, look, there's candy corn on both sides and the same edge. That's cute. Always works out that way for me, especially if I try not to have it work out. So then, your daughter is most likely, if she loves you and you're making her a handmade quilt, she's not going to worry too much if things are a little off, but you've made it the best that you can. So let's pretend like I'm making this for the one thing you want is not run out of bobbin thread. So let's say I'm making this for the shop. We're going to go ahead and critique it and see what I'd like to do differently on my next project. Even if I make a scrappy crumb, I can already see there's a couple things here that I would want to change. Now, when my run out of bobbin or my thread breaks, I make sure I trim everyone really close, and then I go back. Either I start right where it broke or I go back a little bit because I want to back stitch. I bring my bobbin thread up. Come on. I want to back stitch to hold the last thread in place and to hold my new thread in place. If I'm doing something important and something for the shop, I'll make sure I have a full bobbin if I remember. If I don't, I don't, right? We just deal with it. Thread breaking, running out of thread or bobbin thread, it's going to happen in our projects. All right, before I get on to the next one, I wanted to show a couple things here. Awesome, BC Tracy. Great. I appreciate it. Yep. Giovanna, she'll catch it later as a replay. A lot of you guys catch it as a replay. And, sometimes I prefer not to watch a live stream, especially if there's ads. I catch it at a replay, and the ads are easier to bypass. So before we get on to the next one, let's critique this one. Okay, this is mine. I love wonky. I am good. As long as it's not a trapezoid, it's squarish, I'm happy. So next time I would want to maybe try to use the same width of my fabrics if I'm being particular. Leftover jelly roll strips are great for this, or cut all your fabric scraps to the same width. That makes it easier to have a nice looking, fully equal looking pot holder. Now, I'm totally crummy and I'm happy with it. So maybe I want to make sure like all of my certain fabrics are going in the same direction. So we'll say that we want it to be 9 inches square all the way around. And then the next problem I have with doing these is sometimes like when I go to the corner, I don't get far enough into the corner. So I have like a little triangle of fabric there that I wouldn't want to have there. So top stitching is a little tricky on these. And on some of them, my corners are just like thicker and like pointing out in a direction. This one, the sewing goes right narrow into it, less than 1/4 of an inch. And this one has 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch and stuff sticking out. So that's something I would want to work on, right? So for something like this, before I put it together, maybe I want to trim the batting out of the seam allowance, or even just 1/4 of an inch on a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance to get it to be away from the edge. It makes it so much easier. But overall, I really love the way it turns out. I can see all of my favorite fabrics. This one's from you guys. This one's from you guys. You know, I have my Walmart fabrics from a long time ago. This one's from my quilt. And then you see how this one's bigger and this one gets narrower. So things are a little wonky. My skulls didn't match up. So that's only being nitpicking, right? So for those of you that want it to be perfect, for the rest of you, just kind of wing it. What I like to try to be careful is not to have a skinny strip right on the edge like I did, but I was really winging it today. So I got a big chunk so I can get that cat in there. And then I got my big chunk of boo. So I really love the way it turned out. So now I need to top stitch this one. If I were to be my normal craziness and I try to make 10 at a time, I would have these same mistakes on all 10 of them. But if I make one, figure out how the project is made and check out and where I might need to adjust something, then I can do another one. And if the second one is good, then I go ahead and I make 15 of them for the craft show, right? But if you cut out all of your squares for a quilt, only to realize you didn't make a test square first, and you cut them all at 2.5 inches, and it was supposed to be 2 3/4, and now you're short on fabric, right? What are you going to do? Well, you're going to cry, you're going to swear, and you're going to say, I'm never buying a kit again. So that's why I suggest to make a practice block in whatever fabric you already have and not part of that project, so you don't run short on it. And then you can figure it out. And then you'll maybe not cut it all at once, maybe cut. This is a really thick corner. This is where I end up having the corners where it's kind of like this versus like this. It's not, what is it, a 90-degree turn? But let me tell you, once I start using this and it gets washed and stuff, I'll never notice. It's not a big deal. You need a hanger? Uh-oh. I don't know. I got 50 of them in my closet. You want to... Oh, like a hanger for the back of it? Oh, I know what you mean. You want the little loop for up here? I've never perfected the loop, and I don't hang them up. I just stack them. There's a stack of them sitting on top of my refrigerator in the kitchen. Because my refrigerator is not a huge, tall one. It's the one with the big front door and then the freezer on top, just a basic refrigerator. So I can't see up there, but I can reach up there at least. Robbie at 6'5" can see on top of the fridge, no problem. You make like a thin binding, or if you've made tote bags, like a handle where you fold it into 4 and then make it together like that. Or you can use a piece of ribbon and that woven fabric that's like a ribbon that I can never remember what it's called. And then you can put that on there. Some people just like hand stitch it or machine stitch it. Some people put it into there. Yeah, my kids keep theirs in a drawer between the stove and my refrigerator because we have 2 refrigerators in the kitchen because I have my own. There's only 2 boys using the refrigerator, and it's constantly full. It's a side by side with the freezer on the bottom with a drawer for ice. I would not spend money on that. I like the tall. I had a tall, skinny one where the doors were skinny for the freezer. I mean, you still couldn't put like a frozen pizza in that way, but I really like the refrigerator space. The one I have now, it's fine. It works. But I did like my tall side by side. A basket on the counter. Yeah. I like the kids have they have 2 or 3 Dollar Tree ones and a Dollar Tree mitt that they use as a hot pad, and that fits perfectly in the kitchen junk drawer. So that works really well for them right next to the stove. I might put mine in a basket or something. I have all these Dollar Tree plastic baskets in, but I don't know. It's going to be Robbie and I don't know, you know, we'll have to find our own rhythm on how it works because him and I are similar and different. And I do a lot of things where I need to just make sure even my pot holder doesn't get cross contaminated with cheese, right? Because I don't want to touch it or accidentally get it on anything. So there's this one. This side, this piece is a little too wide. I'm not too thrilled with that. And this one's too skinny and crooked. But overall, I like all of that. And then on this side, so I do have the skinny pumpkins. Skinny on the inside, I don't mind. I don't care for like the skulls down here are super skinny. I don't care for that. Oh, for on your desk, yeah. Little pile on top of the microwave. Yep, yep, yep. Trying to think, where did I have them in the last house? I think I did have them on top of the microwave because we had a microwave where the refrigerator went. The new refrigerator that we bought wouldn't fit in the old. The house was from 1986 and the refrigerators were shorter and skinnier then. So we pulled it out and just put it against the wall. And then we had a microwave cart, the ones where it had that top little shelf on the top and then the microwave with the doors underneath. I sold that before we left because I knew we weren't going to have room in the house for it. And you never know where you're going to be later. And I can always here it's hard to junk shop along the roads because you have to have a scheduled pickup and then you have to have certain things or pay for it and you have to have like a not a permit but a permission tag and stuff and it's just crazy. In Florida, you just, at least where we were in Lee County, you just stick it to the road. Someone's going to drive by and pick it up way before the trash man ever comes. So if I need something, I'll probably pick up something that way. I definitely like this one. I think that's the side, this side. I mean, they're both fine and they're going to be great. And I'm going to smile every time I use them. And they're a good size. I think I might want to make some of the ones where your hand goes in it so that I don't have to like to be able to it's hard to keep it wants to, slip out all the time. So for me, I have to really I mean, it's probably different when when you have something in there to hold it. So I think I want to try some of them, not the hand ones, but the one that just goes and then you put it, I'm sure you know what I mean. But that's it. All the rambling and the working on stuff, and we still had them both done in 2 hours. A lot of scraps. As I said, they were all picked and cut into skinny strips already for me. A lot of them I didn't have to trim. Some of them were cut off the side of a quilt, so they were kind of like that. And I just fold them in half, and I cut an even strip based off the bottom. So even if they were 3.5 inches and I only got a 2-inch scrap strip out of it, it's a usable strip. So one of these days we'll do a live stream and I will clear off my table and we'll go through one of the remaining colors that I need to sort through, which is quite a few still. And we'll just ramble and trim our fabrics and press them and do them that way. It usually takes me 2 hours per container to go through and get everything all set up and ready to go. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, everyone. So I hope you got a little bit of an idea. We'll probably do it again for Christmas, because I do have a decent amount of Christmas. The only thing I think that I would not use to make pot holders is my batiks. I consider my batiks a little bit more precious to me. Like I've fallen in love with the Ruby Star fabrics. A couple of the Witch Hats ones are Ruby Star. I just like the colors. Like the owl is a Ruby Star and the frogs is a Ruby Star, and the colors are just fun for me. The designs are fun. And I could really see myself purchasing more Ruby Star if I could get it at a sale price. I find buying some of the not too old fabric out of stock, not brand new, just out, that mid range on Etsy, I can usually get a good sale. And you can get like scraps, or you can just get a half a yard or something. So it works out really well. So I've been doing that a little bit. And if you watch, you can catch a sale, or you can get it free shipping and stuff like that. So I have these. I want to get the witches hats done, and then I've cleaned my daughter's room. I took her dresser and her nightstand and put it out into the dining room that we don't use, and that opened up the space so I can get to the plastic bins that I have all the extra yardage stored in, so I can go through that, and then we can start doing some bundles. I was thinking maybe we can do it as a live stream and either show the bundles or create the bundles and have everything go together. You're very welcome, Tony. For me, it's very easy. I'm always like, what do you mean you don't know what to do your scraps? You can do this, 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 this. You can do the same thing with your scraps as anything else. But if you're not always using your scraps, I keep those voices mostly in my head. Sometimes they sneak out, but I mostly keep them in my head because people say the same thing to me. What do you mean, Robin, you don't know how to use 3 yards of fabric? You can make this, this, and this with it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. But let me show you what you can do with scraps, And it may not be pleasing to everyone. That's why I say, if you love your fabrics and you have like collections and you keep your collection scraps organized and separate and stuff, just sew with your collections. I love polka dot pot holders. That's one of the things I have to go through my mini scraps and maybe make some pot holders with those. Because you know what? I don't care if I have 20 pot holders. 3 pot holders is definitely not enough for me. If I'm making the bread in a Dutch oven, I need like 10 of them to put the lid on so that it's all surrounded in the heat of the 450, 500 degree oven or whatever. The lid doesn't sit on the counter. And I know I wrangle with the sanity of my brain or whatever, but I can't put a hot pan or a hot lid on top of the glass stove top. Now, I know that's crazy because you turn the burners on and it gets burning hot, but in my mind, if I put a hot lid on that glass, it's going to shatter. So if I'm putting it on the stove, I still need to put a pot holder down. I know it's crazy, but sometimes we can't control the way our brain works. So if anyone wants a Scrappy pot holder in a color or a holiday, just let me know. I might eventually do some for the shop, but for right now, this is where we're at. Check out the shop and see what's new, even if, you don't know if you want to purchase anything. I'd appreciate it if you just go there and look around, see some of the new items that are in there. Maybe it'll give you a little nudge of an idea of what to make yourself, because I get a lot of my ideas just from wandering around other people's Etsy shop. You're a little crazy too, right, Tracy? So what is it, right? I take a little of those little ramekins and melt some butter for my popcorn, and then I cannot put it right on top of the stove top. I can't take the lid off of the pan when I'm sauteing stir fry and put it directly onto the cold burners. I guess maybe it's like you can't take a hot pan and put it onto cold glass type thing or something. But I was good until I saw a YouTube video years ago, 10, 15 years ago, where a woman was cooking and she took the lid off, put it on the glass top stove, and the whole thing shattered. So I don't know. I don't take chances anymore. I can't afford a new stove, and I'm pretty sure the rental property owners here would make me buy a new stove. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on a hot Saturday. Hi, Becky. Bye, Becky. I hope you didn't just get here and you've been hanging around for a while because I'm going to press the off button. If anyone wants to call dibs on the witches' hats, yeah, I'm not going to have that many, and I don't think I'm that popular that they'll sell out right away. So if you want to call dibs on a hat, just let me know. Just know that most of them are probably going to get that silver stars on black fabric. Thanks for hanging out with me, Denise. I appreciate it. I do want to make some patchwork ones, but like I said, I want to like take the gray spider webs and make a whole bunch of patchwork, and then do the opposite squares like checkerboard with the different Halloween fabrics and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, everyone, stay warm if you're down below and stay cool if you're up here because it's been hot everywhere, but it's going to be autumn season soon. I will see you guys on Monday for the next vlog. And then, of course, you got the tutorial for another zipper pouch on Friday. I just had to go back and read the comments. Bye, Jackie. See you guys later.